Hey, welcome to this week's Random Foreplay, the show where I spin a classic album on shuffle and make some tough choices as I select exactly 4 tracks to play and drive the discussion. Today I'm marking 40 years of Lives in the Balance by Jackson Browne. So come on in and let's find out which songs are in the balance. Hey, I'm JSB, and today I am winding back to February 1986, exactly 40 years ago this month from where I am right here, right now, when legendary singer-songwriter Jackson Browne unveiled his 8th album, and for the first time drifted largely away from the personal to the political, resulting in an effort that was pretty well received at the time, but some feel dated fairly quickly and quite badly. Personally, this remains one of my top 3 Jackson Browne albums of them all, alongside a pair of his 70s classics. I'll name those later. And today, I'm going to be sharing half of it with you, but as to which half, well, even I don't know that. I'll be randomizing the track order and choosing one of each song pairing that comes up. Uh, it'll make sense as we go along, I promise. So I have what I would call a big 4 on this record that I think are untouchable, but the shuffle might force me to abandon at least one of my favorites. In fact, it's almost guaranteed to. Time will tell. Whatever happens, there's no duds here, so 4 killer tracks are guaranteed, played by Jackson alongside the cream of the crop of 80s musicians, including, of course, a member of Toto. So let's dive in and see which 2 songs I'll have to choose between for today's first selection. Okay, so yes, there are only 8 songs on this album, so it does mean just a choice of 2 each time, which does that make it easier or harder? Who knows? So yeah, it's time to hit go and see where we end up. Starting with Jay, some of you will recognize that. It's the intro of In the Shape of a Heart, which is not a political song, but it is a great one. That is going up against Till I Go Down, which is a really good song, um, and is a more political song. But let's hold off on the political for a bit and go to the second single from the album, which is, of course, In the Shape of a Heart. Uh, I'll explain more about that after we've heard it. So, yeah. Speaking of which, in this video, you might find that the music mostly disappears. And if that's the case, then there will be a link to a longer video where the songs are contained in full. So check out the description or maybe a pinned comment if I remember, and you'll find it there. Right. That said, it's time to hear some music. So here we go. In the Shape of a Heart. All right. In the Shape of a Heart. What a damn perfect song that is. Um, I mean, it's just masterfully written, wonderfully performed by not just Jackson, but some guest musos there included Stan Lynch of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers on drums, and Rick Vito before he was in Fleetwood Mac for a time on guitar. And it's one of those songs that has kind of outlasted the album a bit more than the rest. It's the most streamed song from this album on Spotify. Not that that's saying much. It's only had about 4 million. Should have had 400, as far as I'm concerned. And it was, of course, the second single from the album, which didn't do all that much anywhere. It's one of 2 singles that did better in the UK than the US, but we're talking 66 versus 70. So, yeah, not a spectacular commercial success, but yeah, so good. And for those who don't know, this is obviously, as I said, not a political song. It's a personal one, primarily about his first wife, Phyllis Major, who committed suicide in 1976. Some of the things on Wikipedia and the lyrics pages, etc., will just say she died of a drug overdose, but it was deliberate. So that last verse where he says it's the ruby that she wore on a stand beside the bed in the hour before dawn when I knew she was gone. Yeah, that's what he means by gone. It's not that she's just left him and gone off to live another happy life somewhere. Um, but yeah, I mean, the songwriting on this is top shelf. The arrangement is gorgeous. It's just Absolutely, absolutely perfect. And there's more where that came from. Um, but before we get to the next track, just a quick talk about a quick talk coming for my lecture on Jackson Browne's chart positions. Um, Wikipedia can be a funny thing. It talks on the page, the wiki page for this album, about how he gained him many new fans who later went back and discovered his earlier works. But really, this was his beginning of his commercial slide. Sold a fair bit less than his other 80s albums to this point, and had a chart peak of 23, which is, respectable. Number two in Sweden somehow. Go Sweden. And I think 36 in the UK. So, it did all right, but it was no smash hit. Um, anyway, as I say, I love it. So we'll carry on and find out which second track is going to be today's next one for us to give a listen to. Okay, so option one for track two, so to speak, is that is the opening track and first single for America. And that is going to go up against us. It's going up against the title track, Lives in the Balance. Now, earlier when I said that there were going to be some tough choices, well, this is what I meant. Okay, these two might be two of the most important songs on the album and two of the best. Um, Smart Money would go on Lives in the Balance, and maybe most days I would take that. But just because of where we are 40 years later and people saying this is a dated album, I'm going to listen to For America. And we'll see if sadly that is all too relevant in 2026. Um, let's see what we think. Ah, the 80s fade out. Alrighty. There we go. For America, which of course is a deliberate play on some earlier Jackson tunes, notably For a Dancer from Late for the Sky, and from his previous album, For a Rocker. But this is a much more obviously political effort, and it's an angry effort, but he's clearly telling us that he's a patriot throughout. Not quite as much as he would on I Am a Patriot on the next album, which of course was a cover, but hey, we're not talking about that one today. Yeah, so some of this is dated because it's clearly 1986, both in terms of musical arrangement and political discourse. So he's talking about Ronald Reagan and various things that were going on then. And yet, if we look at the lyrics, how much of this holds true in 2026? As if freedom was a question of might, as if loyalty was black and white. You hear people say it all the time, my country, wrong or right. I want to know what that's got to do with what it takes to find out what's true, with everyone from the president on down trying to keep it from you. Yeah, and then the final chorus. I have prayed for America. I was made for America. I can't let go till she's come around. Until the land of the free is awake and can see, and until her conscience has been found. Um, yeah, I'm not going to get super political with you today, but if that doesn't create some resonance for what's going on in the world as we live in it, um, you're living under a bloody rock. You really are. That's all I'll say on that. But musically, you've got some great guitar on here, and it's not from anyone I've even heard of. It's Gary Myrick, but fantastic. And the sax is from Phil Kenzie, who I definitely have heard of and indeed have seen. Um, Probably best known for Year of the Cat, which is a song I've seen him perform with Al Stewart himself, no less. And yeah, some of the synths are a little bit dated. They're still good, and that's Jay Winding on both the acoustic piano as well. Um, yeah, another killer cut, and the mildly successful single. This reached number 30 in Billboard, number 3 on the mainstream rock charts, and doesn't even have 1 million streams on Spotify. To be fair, it's not been included on his compilations, probably because he felt it was not as timeless as many of his other songs, but what's not timeless comes around again, unfortunately. And a great song is a great song, and that's the second one we've heard in a row. Right. Are we going to hear a third great song in a row? Yes, we are, even though I've skipped over possibly the best thing on this album, which is the title track. But hey, shoot me. No, don't. Do let me know in the comments uh, if you would have made the same choice or the opposite one. And that goes for all of the selections today, not just that one, which I think that's going to be the toughest choice that I've had to make and will have to make, but we'll see. As we move on to track number 3, which is going to be a choice between Soldier of Plenty or Candy. See, I'm not singing along with the songs themselves, so just in case I'll let out a burst of bad vocals for you. Okay, I mentioned, oh yes, I did, that there's a member of Toto on this album, and we're going to hear him now because he's on both of these tracks. So whichever I choose, he's going to be there. I am, of course, talking about Steve Lukather on guitar. Now, these two songs, well, Candy is the outlier on this album. It's the only one that's not actually a Jackson Browne tune. It's written by Greg Copeland, whoever he is, and Wally Stocker, who was in The Babies with John Waite back in the day. It's a good song. Doesn't really fit on the album. I mean, musically it kind of does. It's a bit of a change of pace from the other political stuff. And yeah, it's a good, more commercial type tune, I guess. But it's not a classic. And it's the least streamed song on the album. You know, you shouldn't skip it. I would never do that. If I was playing the whole album, I would play the whole album. But we're not hearing it today. No, we are going to go for another little lesser known tune, which is, again, on the more political side of things. It doesn't get too specific about what he's talking about, so I think it holds up pretty nicely. And this is Soldier of Plenty. All right, Soldier of Plenty, and yet again a song that's 40 years old, but if these lyrics don't make just as much sense in 2026 as they did in 1986, what can I tell you? I mean, let's have a look at some of these. AEIO, you speak as if you know what's good for everyone, what's good in what you've done. What's good about a world in which war rages at a fever pitch? People die for the little things, a little corn, a little beans. It's not Jackson's finest rhyming there, but the message comes across. And yeah, boy, this world is not your toy. Who could we possibly say that to today? Hmm. There's a couple of options, to be fair. Not that I ever want to be fair to Trump or Putin. Oh, I just named both of them. Ah, there you go. Yeah. Anyway, uh, as I mentioned, Steve Lukather on guitars there. Some pretty low key playing, but oh, he just cuts through at times, and that's why you hire him. He was, of course, the third member of Toto to play on a Jackson Browne album, the first being David Paich way back in '73 on the For Every Man album. He plays on These Days, probably the best song ever written by a 16-year-old. And then a few years after that, Jeff Porcaro was on half of the Pretender album, including the title track. The other drummer on that album was Russ Kunkel, who is the drummer on this song. That all fits together. And yeah, broken record, but this is holding up for me very, very well indeed, all these decades later. Now, this only leaves us with one more song. And if you know the album, as ever, you'll know which two choices I'm going to have to make. Well, one choice between two songs. That's what I meant, but you knew that. So let's go through it in the order that they are presented to me. I think I know what I'm doing here, but honestly, it could go either way. So let's find out. So side two opener, Lawless Avenues, which of course leaves us the other option of side two closer, Black and White. Okay, so choosing between these two, I have a slight leaning to the latter. It will give us a double dose of Steve Lukather, although here he's joined by Kevin Dukes on guitar, and I saw him in 1987 playing with Billy Joel. Right. And Bob Glob, I think that's how you say it, that's how I say it, is on bass, as he was on all the other tracks as well, apart from For America, which was played by Jennifer Condos, who's not a name I'm as familiar with, but she was good. But yeah, Bob is a bass playing legend, obviously. And yeah, it makes sense that we're going to finish with the actual ending of the album. So let's do that and find out just what is black and what is white. Here we go.
Time running out, time running out.
And time has run out today. Well, it hasn't really, because I can talk at you for as long as I want to afterwards. Won't be long, don't worry. Yeah, great ending to the album, great ending to this show. Black and White. I feel like that could have been a successful single, in as much as any of the songs could have been on this album. It's got a commercial sheen to it. It's memorable. As we've heard throughout, Jackson is absolutely at the top of his vocal game at this point in time. Not that he ever really was off it, to be fair, unlike some that we could mention. And yeah, that great guitar work. And Russ Kunkel on the drums again, fantastic as ever. Yeah, I won't go through the lyrical breakdown on this one for you because you've probably had enough of me reading to you today. But yeah, it holds up. Does it sound like 1986? A little bit, but you can forget that because, well, it was. So why shouldn't it? The songwriting and the performances and the lyrical content all still resonate for me 40 years on. And I do house this in my top three of his albums. I mentioned earlier that it stands shoulder to shoulder with two of his 70s classics. And for me, those ones are, drumroll please, Late for the Sky and The Pretender. Obviously, he has a load of great albums from across the decades, but those two and this one are definitely my three ultimate favourites. So, yeah, sadly I missed the title track today. Something had to give, and that was it. But I'm not the only one to have skipped over Lives in the Balance at an opportune moment, because the first time I saw Jackson live was on the Naked Ride Home tour, so 2002, 2003, when the Iraq War was just getting underway. And someone called out for Lies in the Balance and just went, Lies in the Balance, and moved swiftly on. Fast forward to the next tour and album, which was Time the Conqueror in 2008, and it's in the set list front and center. Yeah, so you just needed a bit of nudging. But, either way, a great song and a great album. And yeah, I would love to know your thoughts on it, whether you're listening to some of those tracks for the first time today, or you've known this album since it came out all those years ago, or anywhere in between. So yeah, drop me comments down below, and I'll talk to you there. Meanwhile, loads of other things to look at on this channel, so subscribe so you don't miss out on the future stuff, and have a nosy around, and you're bound to find something else that tickles your fancy, including one previous appearance of Jackson on the channel as part of a completely different random foreplay, which I'll probably have floating one side of my head about now, hopefully. Anyway, for me, it's just thanks for watching today, and bye for now, but I do hope not for long.
It's the end. But the moment has been prepared for.